Hey everybody, it's Chris, and I'm guessing that you can probably figure out that we're going to be looking at the third of 3 Trilogy Challenge discs for 2018 in this video. In this case, it's the Latitude64 Musket and Optoplastic. Now the Musket is a 2.0 centimeter rim disc, so it's going to be in that high-speed fairway or control driver range. And it's going to feel pretty familiar in hands to a lot of people, I think. Now, before I even tested, I had it on pretty good authority from some guy named Thomas Ekstrom, who designs the discs, that this was going to be a killer mold. And as soon as I started throwing it, I had to agree. Right off the bat, straight line shots, just holding that beautiful straight line with minimal fade. Turnover shots that just held the turn and faded out just a touch at the end to come in flat. Hyzers that flipped up, carried before coming back to the earth on that nice hyzer line. Instantly reminded me of a disc that I've loved since they came out in 2013, the Escape. So I'm comparing it to a hybrid Escape. These new runs just came out and they remind me of the old first runs or pre-Sweden Escapes, and you're going to see these flights are very similar. Both are 2 centimeters. The Escape tends to be a little bit domier, a little bit taller than the Musket, but they're going to feel pretty similar in the hand. So if you're an Escape thrower, if you've loved Escapes for a long time, I think you're going to click instantly with the Musket. You're going to get great results out of it. What else? As always, I guess, if you have any questions or comments, please put them below so I can get back to you, but otherwise we'll go to the film so you can see this disc in flight. I have to say, of the Trilogy challenges that I can remember, these 3 discs are fantastic. I'm loving the Maiden for putting and throwing. It's very controllable. The Patrol, I think, is going to be fantastic for beginners. It's going to be that balancing disc, but also very useful for more experienced players for the technical rollers and the super turnover shots and all that. And the Musket is just a do-everything control driver that you can hit multiple lines with and shape shots with. So 2018 Trilogy Challenge, definitely worth going out and checking out these discs. If you don't like one of them, you can always trade for the one you do like with other people, hopefully. But check it out. Watch the video for the Musket. Questions and comments below. Thanks as always for watching. So here we are on the course, and this is the type of throw that really made me love the Musket. Not full power, but it holds a straight line, minimal fade at the end, just a nice ace run out to the course. Here's what I think the biggest difference between the Musket and the Escape is. The Musket just has a little more high-speed stability. You can see I turn the Escape just a touch, a little more than the Musket in fairness. You'll see it just keeps drifting right because it holds that line, whereas the Musket with even less, definitely less tip, is going to fade back. Here you'll be able to see the Musket in the field on 3 consecutive throws. Here I'm going to throw it fairly low. You'll see it stand up just a touch, hold that straight line, and then cut right at the end. Here I'm going to throw it up higher. You'll see the intentional tilt. It's going to drift right, but before it finishes its flight, that low speed fade is going to kick in, bring it back. And here you go, one more time, a little bit higher line, letting it flip up, carry that nice flat line, and then that stability brings it back to center. This throw is going to be a reduced power throw. This is maybe 75–80%. On a hyzer release, you'll see the Escape flips up just a touch, but both discs are going to fade hard over to the left. Because they're not super overstable, they're just going to drift over there quite a ways. And here's, again, the Musket. That very similar throw, not quite full power, on a hyzer release. You'll see it just carry that line the entire way into the tree line. Here I'm going to power it up, and this is what I think they do really well. You give them a really hard snap, they drift out to that right, and then that late fade brings them right back to the basket. And here again is that almost same throw, only with a little more height. And that little height is actually going to do it worlds of good. It's going to end up almost 25 feet past the basket on this long-range throw. So here's a comparison of the 2 discs on that same type of throw, and this is what you have to be careful of. Because these discs aren't super overstable, if you do tilt them a little too far, they will drift right. You're going to see the Escape hit the tree line. The Musket's actually going to even be farther right than that. You just have to be careful to get a flat release or a little bit of hyzer on it. Here are some low speed comparisons. These are maybe 70% on a 320-foot target. You're going to see the Escape gets released a little bit farther right than the Musket, and because of that it's going to finish a little bit more right. But very similar lines from these 2 discs on these low power throws. On the second throw, I'm going to give them a little more height. They're going to be released on a hyzer line. You're going to see them hold that hyzer almost the entire way. They disappear into the skyline. But if you watch the hill in the background, you're going to see the Escape starting to reappear here, go over the top of the basket, and the Musket's going to follow suit almost to the same spot. And on the third throw, very similar type of release to the last one. The Escape's going to flip up just a little bit. When it comes down through the hill, you're going to see it finish just to the right of the basket, whereas the Musket is going to go over the top of it again. Here we go to the Woods and Montague, just on a 70% hyzer release again. It's going to drift through the gap going left and skip through the trees a little way. It's actually the closest to the basket I've ever been on that hole now. Here we go, Escape versus Musket. And again, this is the type of throw I really like with these discs. Give them a little bit of tilt and some height, let them drift to the right, let that late stability kick in and cause them to fade. Both of these discs will be well inside the circle, fairly easy putts, pretty similar finishes. And here on lower lines, you're going to see that extra snap is going to cause the discs to just turn over, and they're not going to have the height to be able to correct as well. So they will push forward, but they're going to be shorter than the higher throws. One last test throw on one of my favorite throws with an Escape. Just a long hyzer release, just full power, let it go out to the right, stand up, and then slam back to center. And you can see right here the Musket is keeping pace with the Escape beautifully. These discs will end up within 8 feet of each other, both easy putting range. One last throw with the Musket. Give it a hard snap, watch it turn out to the right. You can see the basket out there. The disc is going to disappear shortly, and I apologize for the shaky camera. But the disc is actually going to go around the tree and fade long of the pin, giving me a comeback putt. Just a beautiful flight from a really great control driver. In review, the Musket is Latitude64's driver entry into the 2018 Trilogy Challenge. It's a 10-speed control driver that's really good at hitting the angles you release it on, of course depending on arm speed. Escape throwers are going to find it familiar with just a little more high-speed stability and a great solid fade at the end. If you liked this video or found it informative, please feel free to like it, share it, give it a thumbs up, or even subscribe to the page. As always, thank you so much for watching, and Thomas, you were right, this is a great mold.